shortages. What are you hearing? How big a deal is it? And what does the light at the end of the tunnel look like?
It's a big problem across our city. Good morning, James, and good morning to your listeners. Not only in relation to what you've seen in the news today in our shops and supermarkets and supply of food, but I'm also concerned about staff at TfL having to self-isolate because they've been pinged. So you saw this weekend the Met Line having to temporarily close. We've also had examples of the Circle Line. Was it just
the Met Line?
It's also the Circle Line, and yesterday was the Waterloo and City Line. Because people work in the control rooms, those who work in signalling, who've had both doses are being pinged. They're doing the right thing, following the government guidance. So we're talking to the government, James, about whether they're able to extend the exemption scheme. So those key workers across our city, not just in TfL, police, fire, food supplies, if they've had both jabs and they have a negative test, if they can continue working, because if they continue to have these numbers of people being forced to self-isolate, I worry about a number of essential services.
And you're in contact, are you? Because they seem to have changed their mind in the last 48 hours on this. Of course, this week we've learned there's always a danger that within 5 minutes of a senior government minister saying something live on national broadcasting, the government or Downing Street will announce the polar opposite. But Kwasi Kwarteng this morning seemed to be saying that there'll be a list later today.
Yeah.
Is that your information? Is that your understanding?
Correct.
But you don't know exactly who's going to be on it?
Correct.
For example, transport workers.
Spot on. So,
okay.
So those conversations are ongoing, and it's really important the government understands the concerns people have.
Some of these concerns, of course, are not linked to the ping, but we'll possibly park that for another day. The BP story there saying it's a lack of unqualified lorry drivers that is explaining why they're not getting delivered. But if you get pinged, you can't be required to go to work, can you? Or would that be the new plan? So people may, either because they fancy a day off in the sun or more likely because they are worried about infection and contagion, they ping, the employer says, well, you can come to work, but it's up to you. It's entirely up to you.
Let's be quite clear, and it's really important to clarify this. There's nothing defective about the app or being run by Test and Trace. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Test and Trace is a legal obligation if they contact you.
But they're doing what they're supposed to do, which is they're picking up somebody who's been in contact with somebody tested positive. Yeah. And so what you should be doing, and what you actually must do if you work for me, is self-isolate. What we're trying to do is reach an accommodation with the government. So those essential workers, and this will be no consolation to those businesses who are really struggling, by the way, essential workers that we need, if they are pinged, if they've had both jabs, they do a test. If it's negative, they can then come to work.